Good morning, my name is Rich and welcome to my world. We're going to talk about containers, pots, how to use them, and what to plant in them. Now this is probably the largest pot I have. It's really large. It took 2 people to get it off the truck. It's concrete. I do the same thing every year in this pot because I like it. I put 5 or 6 of these sweet potato vines in. They're ornamental. And they do great. And they need to be watered every day, once a day, maybe once every other day if it's not 100 degrees. And it's a great look, and it looks good all summer into the fall, and then I rip them out. In the spring, I replace the soil, the top 4 or 5 inches, and that's all you have to do. When you're potting plants, there's a lot to think about. Your pots. Are you going to leave them out all winter? Are you going to take the pots into the shed? Because your pots could crack if they get a lot of water in them and they freeze. So some pots I take in, some pots I leave out all year. Here we have a cement pot, which I love these. And if it's smart to drill a couple of extra holes in them or have someone do it for you, put the best mixing soil in. I have 3 of these angel wing begonias. I tried to save a little money this year. Normally I put 4 in. 4 looks better. And they look great. And they bloom all summer. Now they'll bloom all the way up to Labor Day and beyond. And then I'll take them out. Now, water gets in these. And if it holds the water and it freezes, these pots will crack. So loose and loomy soil will keep it from cracking in the winter. Petunias, they like a lot of sun. I have 2 in here. This is in a plastic pot. It's very happy. I have thyme down here. I have a patch of thyme in the garden that is so prolific that in the spring I dig it up where I don't want it. I stick it into pots. It's very aromatic. I like having it here. Pots look good in a grouping. Sometimes I'll even buy a plant. A shrub. I haven't planted it yet. I'll just put it with the other plants until I'm ready to plant it. On this side, over here, we have coleus, which has done well. It likes a little bit of shade, a little bit of sun. 2 more thyme. And a chrysanthemum that's been in that pot for a good 5 years. Soil has not been changed or amended. Comes back year after year. They're hardier than heck once they get situated. Now, if your garden, if you travel a lot, you're going to want to put a drip line in and run it up to the pots. It's easy to do. It really is. And put your drip line on your hose on a timer and go to Europe. It'll take care of itself. Now this pot looks kind of ratty right now and everything's about to get pulled out and chrysanthemums will go in here. This was totally surrounded by plants. It looked great, but it's the end of the summer and this is what happens. This is your Love Lies Bleeding, which is a very Victorian plant. And it's spent. So today I'll probably cut the flowers out, take everything out, and go shopping for mums. Same thing with the petunias here. It's been a really dry and hot summer. They're starting to look pretty bad. This is another cement pot. I have another cement pot there and 2 here. In this cement pot, I have a topiary. And it doesn't look like it now, but it's going to be a chicken. And it is in a cement pot that the bottom's been drilled out of, so I'm not going to have to worry about the soil compacting. The roots are going to go right down into the ground. Right here, I have a holly tree that a bird planted in my hedgerow, And I dug it out and I potted it, and it's getting a root system. I'm babying it, and I know exactly where I'm going to put it in the garden. So that's another reason to use pots, is to build up a root system, to baby a plant. And the next one is to give you height in the garden. I have these zinnias, and the reason I have height here is I have them in very tall pots, and it gives me height and gives me a cottage garden look. They would not look this nice if they were in the ground, because they would be 1.5 feet shorter. So that's another reason to just stack pots in your beds if you can get water to them. That's very important. In front of me, this is in a pot. Doesn't look like it, but it's in a long rectangular pot. It gives me height here. And these like a lot of sun, which is good because they get a lot of sun. This is one of the entrances to the gardens. It's probably the main entrance. And it just looked awful without the pots. It needed design. So I brought the big pots in, put them up on bricks for drainage, and put the angel wing. Normally I have all angel wing begonias, but this year I thought I'd break it up a little bit, and I put them in the front and the back. This one's doing better because it gets more shade, I think. This beautiful flower comes from South Africa. It has so many names. You'll see it under portulaca or rose, moss rose. They call it tabletop, Mexican rose. It has a million names. It is very hardy. Water it once a day. I think I have 4 plants in there. You buy 4 or 6, stick them in. It'll come back next year. They'll die, it'll seed itself, and it'll come back. I'm going to do more of this next year because it does so well and it looks nice all summer. And that's what you're shooting for. You want different heights. Now here's the cement pot. This one is a beautiful terracotta pot. That has to go in the house or the shed or the greenhouse because I do not want to lose those. I have one on each side. It's a beautiful coleus plant there. On the other side I put geraniums. That didn't work. So next year the geraniums are not going in that pot. Over here, so you step up. These cement pots I got at a box store. They're heavy. They're great. I love them. So these are even in the winter. In the winter I come out and put sticks, branches from the trees, and I put Christmas lights in them. And it looks great. Now I want to show you another pot up here that I had the bottom drilled out. There's one on each side of the pathway, and I have a boxwood in them. Now they'll get a good size, and I'll trim them into a little Christmas tree. They've been in here 2 years. And as I said, the bottom is out, so I don't have to worry. The roots are probably already into the ground, which is great. Nobody can come onto your property and pick up your plant and walk away with it because it's rooted. Here's another boxwood. I'm planning to get it to a pretty good height. A couple years it'll be there and it'll be out. I'll put Christmas lights in these in the winter and up the fence. The bottom's drilled out again. I leave about 2 inches of concrete around the sides, and it gives it good drainage. The roots get the water they need, so if you can't, in extreme droughts you need to water them, and they're easy to feed. This is a hosta, and it's a pretty common hosta, but it looks great in this pot. I have 2 square plastic pots, and I leave them out here. This plant has been in this pot for 4 years with no new soil. I do feed it with Miracle Grow maybe once a month, and I keep it really well watered, and it looks great. So sometimes you have an area that needs a little height, a little pizzazz, shall we say. get a pot out. And you know, plastic pots are great for holding water. If you have something that needs more water, if not, clay is great. But clay, after a couple of years outside, may or may not hold up for you depending on your winter climate. So I use a smattering of everything. I have clay and terracotta, cement. I love the cement pots because you put them in and they're there. They're not going anywhere, and the soil in the spring is the big deal. Digging it up, mixing it, putting it in. But I love pot gardening, and it just really enhances your pool area, your patio area, the front of your house. Many ways you can use it. And think through your sunlight. How much sun is it going to get? If you're getting a lot of sun and it's, you know, you're in Texas and it's 104 in Dallas today, cement pots probably aren't for you because they're going to hold the heat and make it worse. So in that situation, plastic might be the best way to go. Time went by too fast and it's time to say goodbye, but I want to thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe if you do not, and have a blessed day.